Yeah. You look like Mr. Burns.
Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon. Listen in as him and other members of the J. Harmon Home Team speak about all things real estate with local experts here in the Middle Tennessee area. Be sure to check out jharmonhometeam.com for more information and how to get in touch with our amazing team. Welcome to the show.
And good morning, everybody. It's Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. And I have quite a show for you. If you see who's in the passenger seat over here, you know that it is always a fun time with Mr. Bill Wilson. So how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Doing good.
Are you doing good or
Thanks.
are you doing well? I'm bringing out the grammarian here. I think you're doing good.
I'm doing good, but, I always ask myself at the age of 57, going through everything that I've gone through in life, because we're survivors or are we thrivers? I've been both, and thriving, I think, is better than surviving.
100%.
But, I had a farmer friend of mine. I said something to the effect, Bill, and I was complaining about something. He goes, well, as long as you're breathing air down your windpipe, you're doing good.
Yeah, it'd be bad if you're breathing it out of your chest.
Pushing up daisies.
Yeah, for sure. So we got Mr. Bill Wilson, also known as Mr. Murfreesboro, also known as, we were trying to come up with a nickname. What's it going to be?
Well,
you said Beetlejuice, but
Beetlejuice.
That's already claimed.
Howard Stern.
Yeah, that's already claimed.
I don't think we look alike, but I could. Man, we could talk about nicknames. Growing up, I had a nickname. As a kid, I was real scrawny. I was like the ugly duckling. I was always typically the tallest in the class and probably weighed about 50 pounds. I was all bones. And
I never had that problem.
Well, but you look good. You've been working out now. They used to call me Toothpick. I was real brittle. I didn't break bones or anything, but I'd fall down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was the kid that never got picked on the playground.
Mm-hmm.
And then
when you played baseball, your strike zone was like this
I was
big.
actually an all-star, but it was a softball league. And I was a pitcher.
Gotcha.
But the only way I would start is if my father
paid someone off.
No, he sponsored the team, so it'd be Floyd.
So paid somebody off.
Well, that's right. No, I would be Floyd Wilson, State Farm. He was one of the first State Farm agents. He and Mel Adams were partners for years. But I would, if you grew up in Murfreesboro, it was a rite of passage whenever you played junior pro football or junior. I never played that. I was a manager. Junior pro basketball. You were an athlete, man. But everybody did it. So Dad would sponsor a team, and I'd be complaining, "Damn, I'm not starting." I was like, for sure I'm going to start because, my dad's it's his team.
It's his name on
his
the back.
dynasty, yeah. No, I didn't even start then, so that tells you. But he played basketball at Kittrell, which back in the days, he played in the 40s and 50s under Coach Jarman, who was a well-respected coach. And Kittrell had good basketball teams. Dad was the sixth man. He was about 6'1" or so. And he would come in off the bench, and Coach Jarman would put him in. I guess he felt sorry for him, but he put him in. And then he'd go, Wilson, come here. Hit the bench. Wilson, this Coach Jarman, he goes, you're not worth a damn, son. Wait, let me take that back. You're not worth half a damn. My dad used to tell that story. So I was not athletic like my girlfriend Meredith, who's a two-time state. I think she's still my girlfriend. I'm just kidding. Two-time state champion.
He did
golfer.
Get uncomfortable when he said girlfriend.
Well, she's, there's been some talks going on. But anyway, she's a great athlete. It's like all my buddies.
Is golf really athletics, though?
Dude,
is it?
It's mental, man.
It's a sport, but is it, can you say a great golfer is an athlete? Trent?
Yes.
Well, it's a mind
Trent's
game,
a big
too.
golfer as well. So,
I had Kelly Holcomb on the show last night on the Mr. Murfreesboro show.
Yep.
WGNS Sunday nights at 9.
One of MTSU's finest there.
He's a trip, man. I've played golf.
Yeah.
That dude he's like, I told him last night, you should be on the senior tour if you just dedicate yourself. Kelly.
Talking about dedication with a professional football
You've got to
player.
dedicate yourself.
You just lack focus.
Kelly would be a good guest for y'all. Y'all need to have him. He's actually got some great Peyton Manning stories and just living all around the world. And I actually grew up with his wife Lori. Sometimes we carpooled together as kids. Of course, she's younger than me, but
As are most.
Yes, I mean 57, man. I went to the doctor the other day, and I've been having these ailments. I'm just not feeling right. I already know what the doctor's going to tell me. I don't even know why I go and spend the money. I'm having the same. He goes, Bill, it's in your mind. So
you're like, Doc, fix my brain then.
I'm probably eat up with something, and it's like,
yeah, mind over matter, Bill.
Mind over matter, yeah. But it's amazing what our minds can do.
For sure.
All
right, so pause for just a second. As you can see, Mr. Murfreesboro, anytime Bill Wilson's over in that seat, it's gonna be a fun time. So before we get any further, let's hear from Bryan Nale over at Primis Mortgage. Bryan is my guy when it comes to mortgages, and he's also a huge supporter of all things Spread the Positive. So let's hear from Bryan real quick.
Hey, my name is Bryan Nale. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Primis Bank Mortgage, and I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission, and it helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's a true pleasure to be a part of it. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com, and I'll be happy to talk with you.
Primis Mortgage is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Primis Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
All right. Thank you, Bryan, for helping spread the positive here in Rutherford County. We love you, man. Bill, I knew that I had arrived when I had a commercial in my podcast that included a disclaimer where the person talked really fast.
At the end?
At the end of it. I was like, oh, we've arrived. We've got a disclaimer commercial.
Kind of like being a realtor. Thank God for the NMLS, the disclaimer at the bottom of some of this may be true, it may not be true.
Right. No, I usually tell people there's a real good chance there's some inaccuracies in this.
And it depends on who fills out the paperwork, that does the dot loop or the. Mm-hmm. But are you big into writing contracts? Do you? Do you have a secretary?
Was that a backwards way to ask if I like to get paid, or what was that?
Like, I shouldn't say this, but writing contracts. When I first started in 2000, so it's been 23 years, going 23 years, it was just 2 sheets, man. It was a confirmation of agency status on the front and in the back were the terms.
Just a one-pager, basically.
Now there's 30 pages. I mean, if you go by all the addendums, the disclosures, It's like, Lord.
So I used to teach contracts at MTAR, at Middle Tennessee Association, and it was a 3-hour class. And honestly, if you want to get all the nuances, because the actual purchase and sale agreement is 10 pages long.
It's crazy.
If you want to get all the nuances and all the gotchas and all the the pieces out of it, that probably should have been a 5, maybe even a 6-hour course, because there's just so much.
Paragraph.
And what's interesting to me, and I like how you phrased the question, are you big into contracts? Because as even though I made a joke about it, the thing is, you can have somebody that can have a modicum of success by just filling in the blanks.
Sure.
Right? Make a deal happen. We're just going to fill in the blanks. We're going to kind of be happy in the middle and just cruise along.
Right.
But when you start to realize that 10-page document is a tool, and you sharpen your ability to use that tool,
right on,
all of a sudden things change.
That's right.
And you can manipulate, not in a bad way, but you can make that tool work for you and for your clients. And when you have a deeper understanding of all the pieces that are in it and all the things that you can do and all the things that maybe you could do or you should do or maybe you shouldn't do, and you understand those nuance to it. And I can fill in one little bit of information, or I can make that little bit of information really work.
It goes into interpretation. So your attorney and my attorney may not see it. I'm just saying that I've never been sued in 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I'll just be honest with you. I had to go in front of the real estate review thing because I had a relative of mine. I'll tell you this: if you do business with family, charge them an extra point because they're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I was trying to help this
Not
person
me. I
out,
love my
and
family.
it was I love my family too. Don't get me wrong. If you're needing to buy or sell, 615-406-5872. But I love people. But I'd gotten in where I was trying to help somebody, and it backfired.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing illegal. Nothing illegal. It was somebody's interpretation. So that's why it's important to make sure you're clear and concise in what you're writing.
And understand
now it's typing. What you're typing.
And understand how somebody might interpret that. So if I say this, the difference in using the word shall or must makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Or can. Well, can is a completely
can of beans.
It's a completely ambiguous word. The word the seller can do this. That's
can do what?
That means nothing.
Right.
Right? Well, sure, they can do that, but do they have to? Should they? Is there a repercussion if they don't?
Right. And I think a big thing is the time limit, like to get back to somebody, or like you got 10 days. Well, does that include the weekends, holidays? I mean, there's stuff you better be on your game.
At least learn that for sure.
Right. But these new agents today, man, they're what else?
Let's be fair. It's not just the new agents.
It's
let me tell
veterans.
You, one of my least favorite things in the entire world is when I'm on the phone with an agent and I hear, well, I've been in the business for, and then they put some big number in there to try to impress me. And every time I'm like, oh, the next line out of your mouth is going to be utter bullcrap.
Yeah.
Like I already know you're about to justify some bad behavior.
Right.
Right. And every time, and I've actually said this a couple times, but I always think it is, okay, well, you've been doing it wrong for
22 years.
However many years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know who writes the contracts, purchase sale agreements, are attorneys. The jargon, really, if people weren't sued, it's about being done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You've done me wrong.
Yeah, protects the
and
public.
I'm going to sue you. And I think we've gotten into I don't know if it's as much now, but the reason we have all 11 pages compared to the 2 when I was starting out in 2000 because of lawsuits.
Well, but and let's be fair. If you didn't have bad players that try to take advantage of situations,
exactly,
So,
right.
All right. So here's what I want to do today, because you are just a fount of entertaining and informative information, stories, all of that kind of thing. So we're gonna go into the Bill Wilson Real Estate Archives. So open up your brain. Here we go. And we're gonna swap war stories. You ready for this? So I wrote down 4 of my favorite stories from. I've only been in the business now for 14 years, so not a long time.
You're a veteran
compared to a veteran, but nothing like the sage.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell us a couple of real estate war stories.
Sure. Let me start off by the first time I say this, and I didn't just want to be a realtor. I've always been in sales. My dad was in sales, in politics, but the fact is, I didn't. When it was show and tell at campus school in 5th grade, what do you want to be when you grow up, Jonathan? I want to be a realtor.
No, never happened.
It wasn't it. But John Jones, who I have to give credit to, great guy, great salesman, and just a good guy. I'd run into him and a guy named Scott Mason. They both recruit me. Mason was with Parks. John was with Coldwell Banker Snow and Wall. And I'd run into him at the convenience. Bill, and I was working for ADT Security from when I graduated from college from 92, when security systems weren't very prevalent. The crime rate's really worse today than it was in 92. It's because of population. Anytime you have more people,
sure,
numbers are going to go up. So he would say, Bill, when are you going to go? Finally, I said, I'm fed up. I don't want to be a company man. I could have been a company man with ADT. I had a good nest egg. I had somewhere around like $250,000 in the bank or in my savings or whatever they matched. And so I didn't really have to work if I didn't want to for a couple of years. And John hired me. He had just started a team. It was him, Michelle Buford, Lynn Harrison, and Lynn's with he's a big old South guy, but I've worked with a bunch of people who are brokers now that started under tutelage under John. John was a great teacher. And anyway, Coldwell Banker Stonewall, and had an office right next to Howard Wall. And he taught me, well, for 6 months, I did not do anything. He'd come in, Bill, are you going to do something? I'm going to have to let you go if you don't sell something. I mean, you're a salesman. But I was just being lazy. I mean, I didn't, you got all this money. You're like, well, I don't have to do anything right now. Naturally, I'm kind of lazy. I don't like work. I love people. Love seeing the art of the deal, seeing things that can't happen, we make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But my first time, this is honest to God's truth, my first showing, I'm excited. I'm going to go out and show. Gentleman and his wife are coming from Knoxville, which is not a long distance. I mean, it's, what, a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive.
Depends on how fast you drive.
And back then, you took the people and put them in the car with you, and you showed them. And now I just, you meet the people, whatever. I'm not trying to say I won't take you, because I will take you if you really want to live.
I got to clean my car out
yeah,
first.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on that. People found contracts in my car. But anyway, their last name was Zipper, and he was a retired preacher, and he was a real skinny guy, and his wife was a little bit larger than him, maybe a lot of bit larger, but I'm not going to, we all have our things. So the first time I met with them, we had picked out 3 or 4 houses. One of them was on Epps Matthews, somewhere out in Christiana, around that old Huddle house.
Mm-hmm.
They told me what they wanted. They wanted a house with like acreage, fenced-in backyard, 2,200 feet.
Normal stuff.
No more than 200. Back then, a starter home was 200 to 300.
Right.
Cheap. So I took them out. The first thing she told me was that she had a fear of dogs, big dogs. Okay. So I got in my car. It was like a Buick or something, and I'm driving. Miss Zipper, I mean, she got in the car, kind of did this, did this thing, and Mr. Zipper's in the back. We pull up to that one house that I was going to show them. It was on the market. We pull up, and I look. It's fenced in. It's got a big backyard, and there's like 2 or 3 Rottweilers in the back, okay?
That's not a good sign.
She's like, of course, I jumped out. I said, ma'am, they're fenced. I mean, there's a fence.
And they're barking.
Right? They're racing. It was like Cujo and his brothers, foaming and stuff. Anyway, I was like, ma'am, I went around like I always do, open up the door because I'm a gentleman. And she gets out, and I help her. I mean, you can hear that, right? She's walking up to the front. Of course, I'm fumbling around. This is back when you had to have a little device.
Right.
Or it was a combo.
Was that the Supra?
The Supra.
Lock? Yeah.
And I still have a little Supra, and you had to put in there and punch in your numbers. And you pray to God that it works, so you're not looking like an idiot.
Right.
Which I naturally can do by myself. But anyway, I get us in the front door. Mrs. Zipper goes in. And then Mr. Zipper, we all go in, look. Yeah, we're going to talk about when we get in the car. They, had some of the things, but it wasn't the house.
Right.
It's the first house I've ever done in the first house. It's
a learning process.
It's a learning process.
Uh-huh.
So we're going out, lock it up, and I'm helping her down the steps, and we get about halfway to my car to get them in. I look around the corner, and these Cujos are out.
Oh, no.
And they're galloping. And I've never seen a 300-pound woman. She ran. I mean, it was like, and I mean, I'm pushing her. I mean, we're trying to get in the car. I get him in the car. Listen to this. Get him in the car. He gets in the back. It's 4-door. He's fine. I'm trying to get her in. I'm like, I'm going to get sued. I'm going to die. I mean.
And Cujo's going to eat my leg off.
It won't be me eating her. I mean, she's huge.
Yeah. Well, you got her in the car, so you still had to get around.
Pushed her in. She's like, and that one of those Cujos jumps up and it's literally got its paws. It was about 5 feet and looking in, just slobbering up. And I thought we were going to have to go to the ER. She did survive. Needless to say, I didn't sell them a house.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And I don't know if forgive me, But that's the first time I ever showed, and I didn't know if I was going to do it, but I thought for sure the lady was going to get eaten by Rottweiler, or she was going to have a heart attack from the fear of her, because she told me that she was afraid of big dogs.
She started this conversation.
Yeah.
So ultimately, this was your fault showing a house.
Basically, it was my fault, but that's one of the stories.
All right, I got an animal story for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I am deathly afraid of snakes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, I don't like the wooden toys at
Or
Cracker
a green
Barrel.
snake or any type of snake.
I don't care. The little wooden toys at Cracker Barrel, don't like them.
Yeah.
Snakeskin hat band, snakeskin boots, I'm out. I don't even like that. Right. I don't do snakes.
Right.
They're all poisonous as far as I'm concerned. They all cause heart attacks.
Right.
So this was in 2009, 2010. I had this client. It was the very first buyer I ever had, right? Interesting. I didn't make that parallel before I started telling it. And we looked, and as you know, in 2009 and 2010, there were gazillions of houses on the market.
Right.
And we looked at all of them.
Right.
At every single one of them.
Right.
From Laverne to Murfreesboro to Antioch, we looked at every house.
Right.
Okay. Everything that came on the market, every foreclosure, every HUD foreclosure, every short sale, all of them. Right.
Right.
And there was a lot. Right. I kept all of them. I think we ended up looking at over 150 houses.
Dude.
I know. I didn't know how to close a deal. There were so many.
God bless your heart.
It was that.
It's okay.
She finally found the house that she loved. She's still there. She loves it. It's great, right?
Right.
So it was worth it. It was a good experience. Well, I don't know if you remember, if you showed a lot of houses, but Laverne has this neighborhood called Lake Forest.
Oh, they burned the houses down there.
That was labeled Lake Foreclosure at the time, because
Shrevem started that.
Like every house in there was a foreclosure, and
it's
it was
a rooftop of houses. If you go to the top, it's not about it's the largest.
At one point, I don't know if it still is, but at one point it was the largest by quantity of houses in the state.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and they were in, most of the ones that we looked at in there were in terrible condition, short sales and foreclosure.
Yeah.
Terrible
after
condition.
2008, something like that.
Yeah, well, it'd have been end of 2009, beginning of 2010 in that window. So we go into this house, and the first thing, and this happened a bunch back then, you knock on the door just to make sure nobody was home. Of course, they were home. It was a short sale, right? Door opens, and the first thing that hits me is this just
smell,
cloud of marijuana smoke.
Skunk weed.
A lot of it.
Did you get a contact high? Probably.
It was like a Cheech and Chong movie. I mean, seriously.
Hey, man.
So there's 4 of them sitting around, and we walk in, and they're stoned out of their minds. You know, I mean, it's
Did you partake with them?
No.
Okay.
No, I was very uncomfortable at that moment. And it was such a stereotype. Like, there was a beaded curtain going into the master bedroom. There were a tie-dye wall. I'm like, what decade am I in?
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. What decade
Disco
am I
ball?
in?
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, all of it, right? So, and the house is in, I mean, it is just destroyed. I mean, it's in terrible.
Was it a rental problem?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't ask. But we're walking through. She wants to see it anyway, so I'm like, okay. I mean, it's trash, right? And the first odd thing that I notice is in the kitchen, in the cabinet that goes under the sink. Okay, in that cabinet door, there was a hole cut, and there was like a cat door.
Right.
In the cabinet door.
Right.
Weird, right?
In the cabinet door.
In the cabinet door, there was a little cat door. And I'm like, oh, that's super weird. So we opened the garage, had a little 1-car garage.
It's for the mice. Yeah.
Well, hold that thought. So we opened the garage, and in the garage, there's these cages. There's like 3 of them stacked up, and they're probably 6 or 8 feet long, and they're stacked up. They're about 2 feet tall or so, and about 2 or 3 feet deep off the wall. But they're really long.
Right.
I'm like, oh, and there's nothing in them. I was like, that's strange too. And there's 3 of them. Okay, super weird. So we keep looking, and it's one of those split floor plans where the master bedroom's over here and there's a hallway. Well, we looked in the master, whatever, it's fine. It's garbage, but it was fine. We start down the hallway, and down the hallway, there's a bedroom to the left, and then there's a bedroom straight ahead.
Right.
Right? Look in this one, it's whatever. Bathroom's right here. Look in there, it's whatever. At the end of the hall, the door is the end of the hallway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The door is mostly closed, but it's just slightly open. So
linen closet, typically.
No, it was a bedroom.
Okay.
This was a bedroom. So we go down there, and my client is right behind me, right? So I'm going to open the door. She is standing like right there, okay?
Right.
I open the door, and the first thing I see as I'm opening it is there's an aquarium, right? That was not full of water. It either had
Snapping turtles or
lizards or snakes or
Right.
something, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable. Open the door the rest of the way, and there's a bed, and on top of this bed
No, stop.
is a big freaking snake. I mean,
Like an anaconda.
I didn't ask. I don't know. It was enormous.
Were they filming?
I
Was
don't.
Were there chains? I mean,
No.
some people are like,
no, not. I mean, I didn't really stick around to find out, Bill. I'm like, ugh! And I slam the door shut, and I turn around, and I run out of the house. But I about bowled over my client because she was standing
you're
right
like,
here.
thank God for Depends.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm out. And I went and stood out by my car, and I just left her.
So what happened?
She eventually came back out of the house. I don't know if she partook with the other folks or what, but
This was a house you were going to list or buy.
she was going to, we
She
were
was
looking
gonna
at it
buy
for her to potentially buy it. She didn't buy it. But think about that. So
Dude,
you've
that's-
got 3 cages out in the garage that were empty. You've got a pet door going into
What's
the kitchen
that thing
cabinets.
eating? Yeah.
Yeah. And how many of them are there?
Were there
Is it-
children there? I mean, seriously.
Not that I saw. No.
Did you see a hump in the
So anyway.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't do snakes.
It doesn't surprise me. And I love people in Laverne, by the way. Y'all do a great job, except for the police. I mean, they
do.
if you want to have a date, go get picked up by the police.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. Don't you hit the red button real quick?
Yeah, might need to mute that.
I've got a story. Around 2007, I have a cousin of mine, and she and her husband own Tommy's Express. So if you ever need to get a car washed, go by Tommy's.
They do a good job.
And tell them Mr. Murfreesboro, you'll probably get a free car wash. Just
A free car wash?
maybe. Yeah, if you say Mr. Murfreesboro told you to go by there.
I'm gonna try that.
Do it. They got a new location, Smyrna, but they had a house on Warrior Drive right across from the rugby field on Warrior Drive. Had an office on Broad Street by the railroad tracks. Someone goes in the bathroom and a snake came up out of the toilet. But that's another story. But this is the same time. So
I'd never go to the bathroom again. I'm just telling you.
I do
just
an
hold
open
it.
house there on Warrior Drive. Got a big sign, wine and cheese. Agents are showing up. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. I mean, oh, you got a nice list and it's beautiful.
Thanks for the grub.
Thanks for the grub. Thanks
Yeah.
for the wine. I don't even drink either. So, anyway, the following weekend I do an open house, and I have a good turnout. And at the very end, it was like 12 to 2 or 1 to 3, something like that. It was at the very end. I'm fixing to lock up, and these people come to the door. And it looks like I dream of Jeannie. All I can see is the eyes, man. It's this lady. And
Mm-hmm.
she comes in. She walks through the house. I'm trying to get it. You know how you're like, I got to get out of here, man. I got to get out of there. There's a football game coming on.
Mm-hmm.
My kids, I got to go see my kids. I get a phone call from this lady's husband. He goes, Bill, I have to buy the house
She said so.
because my wife said so. I said, well, you know, her eyes were green, like you're very, very, very pretty eyes. I was like, and this guy was from Jordan. He's a doctor. I'm not going to mention his name, but he is a friend. And he goes, I said, your wife, she's really nice, very pretty. She goes, I said, where'd you meet her? She goes, I met her in Detroit, man. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I have to meet you. We're going to write the contract. Long story short, I sold at an open house $1 million listing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's ever been done. It's been done, but
Oh,
not a lot. You don't
Believe
know.
it or not, at the higher price point, that happens more than you might think.
This is in 2007 during the fall. It was like
On the way down.
it should have sold for. It didn't sell for that.
Mm-hmm.
It sold for less than the $1 million. But the moral to the story, he goes like this. He goes, Bill, I'm going to put a pond up front.
I know which house you're talking about.
Yes. He goes, well, put that pond in palm trees. I said, you are? I said, cool. He goes, I'm going to put exotic fish. Exotic fish. I said, you are? He goes, I said, what are you going to do about the geese that are flying over? He goes, oh, I've already got it figured out. I'm going to put fence up.
That's a good start.
Geese fly.
Yeah.
What's a fence going to do?
Well, maybe
with
he's going to put a sky fence on it.
No, he was like, but and they've got a little paddle thing out front. It's like a little amusement park.
Yeah.
Nicest people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. What's the craziest thing you ever did for a client in order to get a house sold?
Oh, man.
I've got one. I bet you can't top it.
You slept with somebody? No, I'm just
No.
kidding.
Well, maybe if
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
your story, then maybe you can top it. I don't know.
Yeah, we got the job. Had to take one for the team.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. Back in the day, in the 2005, when they had a thing called a marriage ring, which was zero down. I go to closings, people are getting $5,000 back. I'm thinking, if you're buying a home,
You should be spending money.
well, yeah, it's your biggest investment, other than your kids going to college or whatever. I mean, yeah, it depends on where they're going to college, because it's going to make them do better.
And that ultimately determines where you get to retire. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what is the wildest thing? I may have given a car away or something. I mean, I don't know if is that legal?
Was it your Buick that you were driving the Rottweilers in?
I have, believe it or not, I've had 2 vehicles given to me.
Really?
Friends. I had a 240 Volvo that a client gave me.
How did you run it
I
to
turned around
your?
and gave it to a girlfriend or something, girlfriend's kids, so they could go to college. I also got a F-350 truck with the big wheels.
Yeah.
My buddy Bill Walker says, I'm tired of it sitting there. Just come get it. It's yours. And he gave me the title. I gave that to somebody else that lived up in.
Did you have to run that through your brokerage and pay,
Well, it was-
pay a split on it?
No, no. I tell you what I did do. I won $20,000 at a raffle about 5 years ago. There was a.
I won a bottle of bourbon a couple months ago. I felt good about that.
I've won
Now
this
I don't.
Apple Watch because of Lady K, Kelsey Prince Williams. I won that at an open house. But 6 years ago, I had sold a house. Y'all know where Three Rivers is?
Mhm.
Okay. Randy Chastain, Parkside Builders. That whole year, I think it was 2013, 14. No, it had to be 2017 or 18. Anyway, he was doing a raffle that if you sold a house, if Jonathan Harmon sold a house, you would get a ticket to win the grand prize of $20,000. So I sold this house at the end of November. It closed in December. I sold it, and it closed by the end of the year. And it was either January or February, they had a big marketing thing or had a big celebration of we've sold a bunch of houses that last year at the Hutton Hotel. And I told my partner, Meredith, I said, hon, you need to go with me. I'm going to win this $20,000. You just wait and see. She was like, shut up, Bill. It's snowing outside. I don't really want to go. I had to pull her to get in the car. Come on. It's free dinner.
Right.
So we
Did you have to be present to win?
You had to be present to win.
Ooh. Imagine if your name got pulled and you weren't there.
Well, for real, I've been crying. We got there and they do a few giveaways. Here's this, here's a stay at the Hutton, here's this, yeah. And then at the end they go, here's the grand prize, and they had this big brass thing, the old bingo little latch. And the grand prize, $20,000 goes to. And here's how I heard it. Bill Wilson. And I went, I was like, it was like, oh my Lord. And I was worried. And John, I was on a split with him. I was like, Dad, am I going to? I had to claim it on
Yeah.
taxes, but $20K, man, that's not bad for a night's work.
It's pretty darn good.
I've been a very fortunate. Like I've had a hole in one. I've won.
I had a hole in
I've
one.
flown
at
airplanes. I've done. Yeah, I had a hole in one at the VA on hole number 6 or 7. It was 160 yards,
R.I.P.
7 iron.
VA.
Yeah, but that's about. I mean, as far as doing stuff crazy, I guess the given. I don't know if that sealed the deal, but it may have helped out.
So,
What's yours?
I tend to find myself in positions where,
Giving away dirt.
well, hold on, you're not
I'm not
far.
too far away.
Yeah. So where we get a house listed, and I tend to work more on the listing side than the buy side. We get a house listed, and then some whacked out thing shows up on home inspection, right? And
Mold.
or worse, like something that's like,
Foundation.
you did what?
Yeah.
No, it's not even like normal stuff that you
Right.
have an expert that you can hire to come fix. It's just some weird random stuff.
Right.
And so what ends up happening a lot of times, it's like, well, I don't have a guy for that. So, me and you, homeowner, we're going to take care of it. So I remember it was 9:30 one night. I was caulking windows with one of my clients.
Yeah.
Caulking around windows, not a big deal. It was cold, but whatever.
Helping them out. Yeah.
Getting it done, right? The worst one, though, home inspector goes under this, and this house is not in good shape. Homeowner goes under this house, and there's a plumbing leak. Pretty normal,
Was
right?
it sewage?
Except it was on the sewer line.
Poo.
And it had, literally, yes,
Poo.
it had been broken for, we don't even know how long. Like a long
Sludge. Yeah.
time, right? And it was right underneath one of the bathrooms, and it was just disconnected.
How many people lived in the house? Was there a lot of? I'm just trying.
Four
I mean,
Four
how
people in the
much
house,
was
3
built up?
kids and a mom,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know, and I still don't know how the inside of the house didn't smell horrible, but it
Right.
didn't.
Right.
And this house is in Smyrna, and he's like, I was like, well, what do we do? He goes, well, I don't think you're going to get a plumber under there to fix it until you take care of the mess.
Scuba gear. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I'm like, well, okay, well, who do you know that does that? He's like, nobody.
That'll be Jonathan Harmon.
He goes, I said, well, what do we have to do to take care of it? He goes, well, the easiest thing to do is neutralize it with lye. Like get raw lye powder
Just start
and just,
covered up.
yeah. I'm like, well, lye is caustic as all get out. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll eat your skin off.
Right.
So here I am with a bag of lye, kitchen gloves pulled up,
You got a mask. This is pre-COVID.
pre-COVID, yeah.
You were
it wasn't-
prepared.
It wasn't a respirator. It was just one of those paper,
Not
you know,
an
the little-
N53.
yeah, the little cone
Yeah.
things. And I crawl up under this house and spread lye on all this poop that was underneath this house.
So, how long did that take you? An hour or two?
It felt like about 7 days.
Were you dating? Did you have a girlfriend?
No,
was
but I
gonna say,
needed the closing. You
You
know,
need-
like we got to get this was maybe the, I don't know, 4th or 5th deal that I had done.
Right.
So I was like, at all costs. You know what I mean?
I'll do whatever to get
Let's
done.
get her
'cause
done.
I need.
And
the
she was
sheets.
almost at a short sale. Like, you know, it needed to get
It's
done.
scary. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Did it sell?
It did. It did. We put
What'd
lye.
you do about disclosing all that?
We
Jonathan?
just told him.
You said there had been a leak,
There'd been a
but did she get it fixed? So some
Yeah,
people
yeah,
in
the-
those days didn't have the money.
leak got fixed. The poop got lied, whatever that is.
I've got one similar to that. This is one speaking of Laverne, I had a listing. Had a lady call me. She was in her 90s. I don't know why and she had a son that lived with her he was in a wheelchair, but he could talk. I mean, he was fine. To be honest with you, he could walk and do stuff. People just say, well, they think he was just lazy. He just didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying anything against handicapped people because I'm handicapped myself. So here's the deal. It was off of Stones River Road in Laverne. She called me. It was a nice home, but it kind of was not kept well.
Sure.
Kind of like what and this is when I was still with John, like 2014 or 15, something like that. And part of the deal, and John had that moving truck. Look, I'm getting all these plugs to John. We had a moving truck that usually if you buy or sell from him, you can use the moving truck. Okay. So we go down there and we're doing a walkthrough, and I'm like, man, we got the closing like in a couple of days and nothing's been done. It's like, oh, Lord. So I got my son at the time, who was like 15 or 16, a couple of his
He was
buddies.
your son at the time?
Yeah, no, he was still my son.
Oh, okay.
William and Meredith, my partner, and there was like 2 or 3 of us, and we helped box her up, and she moved from Laverne to an apartment at Hickory Hollow. Okay? And we get there and start unloading stuff. It was like a whole day of moving. I take that back. We moved her from Hickory Hollow to the house in Laverne. Let me preface that. So she's living in an apartment in Hickory Hollow, moving to Laverne. She's tired of paying rent. She's going to own her own home at 90-something with her son. Dude, in her apartment, we bottom line is we helped her move. But when we walked in that apartment, when you stepped, there was feces, and when you stepped, you could hear squishing, and it was dog and cat urine, maybe in his. The dude just went, he's. It was the most sickening. It was the only time I helped a client move. I have a heart, believe it or not. And I felt for this lady because she had a son that couldn't help out that much. I mean, she was like, "You're lazy. I know you can." I was like, "I'm just here to help, lady.
Yeah,
I'm just here." And but it was very nasty, and I think I threw away shoes. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. But
she bought a home in Laverne, and 2 years later, sold it again. I mean, I think she ended up going somewhere. And that guy, he was in his wheelchair, and he fell back, hit his head, and he was in a nursing home for several years, or not several years, but he never recovered from that.
Wow.
It's pretty wild, man, when you think about it.
Well, here's what I know is that when you have a job that puts you in people's homes on a regular basis, you see all kinds of stuff. You see and it's never lost on me that when I'm meeting somebody not at their home, like, I wonder how you live. You know what I mean?
How do they really live?
Yeah. And that's always been an interesting thing to kind of see. And it's not a judgmental thing. It's just, people live how they live, and so anyway, we see some crazy stuff, that's for sure. Bill, what you got going on with the Mr. Murfreesboro thing, and whatever else you got going on? Anything you want to plug right now?
Yeah, we got Jazz Fest coming up.
Yeah,
this
it's
Saturday.
Moved, right?
Yeah, see, it started out, it was always on the square, and it made it easier, but the complaints were, there's a few thousand people that show up on a 2-day event. I think it was Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They were having a hard time it getting rained out. It seems like 3 or 4 times the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So that was taken away.
And it shuts down the square, so all the businesses on the square, when they should be thriving.
They can't get stuff delivered. But I'm thinking, if you got a few thousand people up there, they're going to come and eat in my restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
But they're not necessarily going to buy antiques or dresses.
Right, correct.
Right.
They're not going to go to the South Church Gallery and buy art or whatever. But so they decided, Sarah Callender, who's the head of Main Street Merch, she does a great job.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sarah.
Yeah. They, a lot of people got upset because, it's not, and I kind of was like, it's got to be, you got to have it on the square. I mean, it's kind of like, it's known 25 years. But they found a place. It's the Fountains
at Gateway
on
right
Medical Center,
but just before the hospital.
Yeah, and across the street there's going to be the new amphitheater if it if it works out.
Mm-hmm.
So this Saturday from 10 till 6, I'll be one of the MCs. I'll be on one of the stages announcing. So if you get
there, do you know a lot about jazz?
I don't know anything about jazz.
You like music, though.
Yeah, I love music, but I'm going to be introducing bands and stuff. And I think Lady K is going to come hang out with me and take over where I'm slacking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It should be fun. Now we just got to hope for good weather
That's right.
because
Jazz Fest has been cursed, man.
It has been, but it's going to be close to the Steakhouse 5, Just Love Coffee. There's a
Goodness gracious.
Goodness gracious. There's a bundt
Mm-hmm.
cake place, but you can come bring your lawn chairs and come
Soda shop.
and they're going to have a stage, where the ice skating is.
Mhm.
It's all turf now,
Right.
but there's going to be a stage right there, the main stage, where Tom Christie's going to be calling people up, and I'm thankful to Tom to invite me to be a part of it. And they've been meeting for the last couple of months, getting it together. It's not easy when you're.
Are they doing a second stage as well?
Second stage, if you're looking, it's going to be on the other side. There's a parking lot. If you come around back, there's going to be a stage there with different bands and stuff.
Because the high school jazz bands will be playing, right?
The high school jazz band, and I should know who's playing, but this is all new to me. But I guarantee we'll have a good time, and it'll be fun. If you like jazz music, you like hanging out with people, this is your place. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on Saturday, but from 10 till 6. So I think it's a key that it's not going to be a 2-day event.
Right.
And the key is having a place where you can, there may be 600 people. So there may be 1,000. I don't know. It's the first time it's ever been held somewhere
That's a good
different.
spot.
The parking should be good.
Yeah, it's a pretty area.
Lots of
Lots
parking.
of stuff to do right there. So I think that's a solid
Yeah.
move. So here's what I'm doing this weekend. Sunday kicks off CBC, the Craft Brewers Conference in Nashville.
Cool.
The city of Nashville is hosting it, and so with Cedar Glade, we're part of the Brewers Association that puts that on, and so we're serving beer on Sunday night at the Walk of Fame Park, which is right there next to the where the Predators play in that hotel, that really pretty park.
Yeah.
So they're expecting about 3,000 people.
Wow.
To be there for this.
Is it going to be a
opening
beer
reception.
tasting or?
Yeah, just samples and stuff. And then so for the next several days after that, there's this huge conference. So if you are a craft beer lover, and you live close to Nashville,
Check it out.
starting on Sunday, I would suggest that you look at places like Craft Brewed and some of the other good beer bars, beer cellars, some of those places, and check it out because there's going to be all kinds of special stuff going on over the next
Right on.
Sunday through Wednesday.
How many breweries are? I know it's y'all is May Day, and then y'all. How many?
In
What
Panther
other?
Creek.
Panther Creek. Where's that? Is that?
It's
here in
it's where the
town?
Green Dragon was.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So
That used to be the Rutherford County Creamery
it did.
back
yeah.
in the days.
So three breweries right here in town that are open right now. So Mayday, of course, is the OGs. They've been around just over 10 years.
Yeah.
Panther Creek, JT, if you happen to be watching, I think you guys are on year 4 or 5 right now, somewhere around there. And we've just started year 2 for Cedar Glade. And then, of course, you got Hop Springs out on the
Out John Bragg Highway.
right, exactly. But we've got another one opening. A friend of ours, Brandon Bingman, is opening one on the other side of the interstate over close to Sam's in the old A Hart's Pizza place.
A Hearts. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of it? You know what it is?
I'm not sure what he was brewing as a home brewer. It was called Spring Street Garage. I'm not sure exactly yet. He's kicked around some ideas on what his commercial name's going to be.
What's the hardest thing about brewing beer? Having the right
The business
ingredient.
side of it, you mean?
Yeah.
From my perspective,
Yeah.
not knowing what you don't know, and
Trial and error.
and
It's-
constantly being like, oh well, I didn't know that crap, and now it's a priority.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Are y'all adding on over there?
We're building a patio.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. Congrats on
It's
that.
coming along, man. It's going to
Yeah.
be sweet. 18 out from the building and 40 down the side.
So you're going to be able to handle more people. Is there a
And
certain
it's
amount?
a stage.
It's a stage. So you're going to start doing some live entertainment, maybe.
We already do that on Friday and Saturday night, and
Cool.
then we'll have a spot where we could do 2. We can do private events on the patio. It's gonna be nice.
Do y'all still serve some food or no?
We have a food truck.
Food truck.
There's
That's
always a
right.
food
Who
truck.
is that? Is it the barbecue?
It is, yeah. Single Tree is typically he had to take 2 weeks off, so last week and this week, so we're running some different ones, but yeah, normally it's Single Tree Barbecue. Charlie's doing a good job with that.
Yeah, I've seen him. There's a group that I help at, Sweet Addiction. It's women who get out of prison who are addicted and they're trying to get back in life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all sweets. I need to get all of y'all.
That'd be fun.
Robin Hoosh and then Kelsey's a part of that. She's on the board. But
Very good.
yeah, maybe y'all could do some business together.
Yeah. It's fun, man. Sunday nights are always packed there. We've got John Boyce with Brainiac Trivia comes and does his signature show, and man, that's always a good time. And the Adult Kickball League has us as their league bar. So on Thursday night, starting about 7:30, all these kickball teams show up.
Where do they play kickball? Because I've been in a kickball league one time. Where is that at New Vision, or where do they play?
No, they play at Old Fort Park. So they have 3 games going at one time on one baseball field. So one in the infield and then one in opposite corners. So and they all kick.
They're waiting to run into each other.
It's organized chaos, man.
Organized chaos. Is that still? Can people still sign up for that, or is that too late?
I think they're almost done with this season, but I think
do they have a fall season?
They run 3 seasons, right?
I think they do spring and fall.
I thought there was
there
a
might
third
be
one.
a summer one.
Yeah,
think
there's
it's
at least
spring
2.
How can people find out about that kickball?
GoKickball.com.
Yep.
And it's just exclusive to Murfreesboro? Or
This one is.
This
No,
one is?
it's franchised.
Okay.
They've got it in several different
So
places.
there's a commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
His name's Andrew. Good dude.
Right. That's
Yep.
wild, man. I'll tell you something I'd like to see happen in Rutherford County. It nearly happened in 1982. Parimutuel betting.
What is that?
I would like to see horse racing come in. Or maybe dog racing. The PETA people will probably tore it. But instead of going to Memphis or up in Kentucky, Lexington, we could have the Murfreesboro Derby here. And there was a guy named Claude Cockrell that wanted to bring parimutuel betting here in the early 80s. Lived on Broad Street. Of course, this is the Bible Belt, and I love Jesus, okay? And
Always fun when you got to preface what you're about to say with that.
But there's a lot of people against it because of they say parimutuel betting would bring crime. It may have, I don't know, but I'm just thinking about the horses. And if I ever owned a racehorse, one day I might, or know somebody has one, I would name it Get a Load of This. Around the bend they come. Get a load of this. What about that? Get a load of this. That's
pretty good.
That's like I always wanted to buy a ghost town out in Montana or New Mexico, just somewhere, right? Just like buy a
Dodge
whole town.
City, yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to name it Somewhere In.
Somewhere in
Montana.
Somewhere in Montana. Somewhere in USA. Yeah, somewhere in Montana. Beautiful state, though.
Yeah. So
yeah.
All right, good stuff. We're gonna wrap it up. If you've got any kind of real estate needs, give myself a call. And if you don't want to call me, I reckon you can call Bill. That'd be okay, I suppose. I expect a referral fee out of anybody that calls because of this show. Okay.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. And if you have mortgage needs, of course, give our friend Bryan a call. Trent, what about you? Anything on the STP front?
Just the same. Looking for advertisers, looking for supporters, looking for new shows. Here to push record.
That's
build
it.
this network, man.
You got a story to tell?
We
Let's
got some
tell it.
we got some really cool stuff happening. So get involved, tap in while you can.
That's it. I
Thanks,
love it.
Michelle Reeves.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
Yes, thanks, Michelle. We love you. And you guys have a great rest of the week. Talk to you again soon.
I may have gone overboard a little bit on some of that stuff. You got me on
The appropriation with the accent.